Hey, Jeremy here. It's Friday, so continuing with our New Year's resolution of doing something creative every week. I got to be honest, I'm actually looking forward to these things every week. I want to do more of them. It's just, who has the time? But I am committed to doing at least Friday, so tonight's the night. Gonna jump right in. The thing I'm working on tonight involves color, and I don't really know how long it's going to take, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to do Wednesday Addams. So this is like most of you guys have probably seen the Netflix series Wednesday, featuring Jenna Ortega, and it's one of my favorite shows. I know a lot of other people were trying to do some artwork with Wednesday Addams, so I thought I'd give it a shot myself and give it a go. But so I got some colored pencils. I don't know how this is going to go because I don't have a large set of colored pencils, and as you can see, there's a lot of color in this. Um, so I'm just going to make do and just jump right in. So join me. All right. So because this might take a little while to do, some of the coloring in this artwork, I went ahead and did the sketch before the show just to kind of speed it up a little bit. Normally I would, sketch live, but I'm starting with a sketch I had already done. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, like always, is start with the eyes because, as I've said before, the eyes are the most prominent feature. If you get the eyes right, then you've got a good solid foundation for the rest of your artwork. So unfortunately with Wednesday Addams, her eyes are kind of black, so there's not a lot of detail there. But fortunately, I've got the pencil for that. It's a black pencil. Oh, by the way, I am drinking bourbon tonight, so periodically I'm going to take a sip. As always, you guys are welcome to join me in the chat. That's kind of what this is about. I can do art myself, by myself, but it's more fun if, hey, cool, somebody popped in. Hey, Just Dave. How long did the sketch take me? I don't know. The last couple ones I've been doing took about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I don't really know on this one. Um, but I do post like a short version of it after I'm done. So that should be up like tomorrow. If you don't want to wait and watch the entire process and hang out with me in chat, you can always stop in tomorrow and watch the short version. That's under a minute. But I appreciate you stopping in, Just Dave. Just Dave is from the UK. So again, her eyes are kind of just black, so I'm just kind of like coming in with the black colored pencil, filling in some of the details there. Oh, the bit that I have on paper. So that took me, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to a half hour. It doesn't take very long. It's just a rough sketch. It's not like there's much detail in it. All of the detail, so in a colored photo or a colored pencil drawing, all of the details are in the actual colors. So I didn't really want to spend a lot of time drawing lines and stuff that are basically just going to become color anyway. So I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, maybe a half hour. So I'm kind of like blocking in her eyeball here. She's got a lot of eyeliner. If you guys haven't watched the show, I'm not going to throw out any spoilers or anything, but it's kind of a cool take on Wednesday Addams. They kind of have her as a like a goth chick, Nancy Drew. She goes around solving mysteries. And I watched it actually over the Christmas break, I think. Maybe a little bit earlier. And I liked it. So I've been kind of wanting to draw Wednesday Addams for a while, but then I noticed a lot of other people are drawing Wednesday Addams, and I wanted to do a picture that I didn't think they had done before. If you watched one of my earlier videos, I said I need to practice with hands, so I wanted to make sure that there was a picture involving hands that I could do so that I can practice. If you're new to this channel, that's kind of the whole point, is I kind of set a New Year's Eve goal, New Year's goal for myself, New Year's resolution to practice art more often so that I can get better at it. I mean, I don't think I completely suck, but I can definitely get better. So that's my New Year's resolution for this year. And I've been pretty good at it. Like, there, every day I find a reason not to. Like, there's always other things that you could be doing. But I kind of make an effort. And to be honest with you, I enjoy it. I look forward to it. It is something I enjoy doing. So I'm just kind of roughing in the eyeball a bit. A lot of the work's going to be in other areas of the thing, but I always like to do the eyes first because that gives us a good focal point. Now, I'm not doing a graphite pencil drawing here, so it's not going to all be black and white. So I have to be mindful of that and come. And what I would normally just do is like shading in like a graphite pencil. I have to actually remind myself to come in and throw in some color as well. I don't know how much color I'm going to throw in and how accurate it's going to be to the original photo. But I picked this photo just because of the colors. The colors are kind of cool. They're very neon like, matching her personality. No, not her personality, but her roommate's personality. Her roommate's into the color, not her. She hates color. I think they even said that she's allergic to color. Maybe there would be a few spoilers in this. Yeah, so she's allergic to color. She only wears black and white, but she does use some color. I mean, she's got colored lipstick. What I think is cool about this picture is how well the hair catches the highlights of the stained glass window behind her, which is full of a lot of color. So to me, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know how many people are in here, but feel free to ask any questions in chat. You don't have to chime in. I'm more than comfortable talking to myself. But if you do have any questions about what I'm doing, let me know. This isn't meant to be like an educational show or anything. Like if you learn something, that's kind of amazing, but that's not really my intent. My intent is to just practice and learn myself. Um, but if you are new to drawing or you have the habit of drawing and you have questions from somebody who's done it a little while but just isn't perfect at it, like I can probably tell you the right ways to do things even though I don't do them myself. That's kind of what the habit building thing here is about. But if I don't know some, I'll just tell you I don't know. I have no idea. I'm comfortable with that. There's a lot I don't know. So a lot of her eye is actually, at least on the left side and on the right side actually, is obscured in shadows from her hair. So part of the detail is kind of like just roughing in her hair as well. So I'll go ahead and do that with some quick lines here. Now, there's a lot of, let's see, make sure I'm still using black. Yeah, there's a lot of black in her hair, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get that going a little bit. Yeah, it's really hard. I want to be able to judge how long these things are going to take so that I know how long they take, but I really have no clue. The other ones I've been doing have taken, I don't know, an hour, hour and a half. But I think this one's going to take more just because I want to put some detail in here and make it really as realistic as I can. I don't think I have the skill set to make it photorealistic, but I'm going to try anyway. It's my dog sleeping over there. You might hear my dog snoring. I don't know. Alright, so I think there's enough started on that one. I'm going to move on to the other eyeball. But yeah, I actually wanted to do more of these this week, but it was a really busy week for me, and I didn't have a lot of free time. So I got to the point where I had so little free time that I was like, man, I can't wait until Friday where I just like, have a break. This is relaxing for me. So I'm kind of just like coloring in the eyeball. Again, there's not a lot of detail in her eyes because they're like straight black. Um, if they weren't, I would try to like if they were blue, for example, I would try to capture some of that color. Maybe in real life they're blue. I don't know. I've not seen a lot of photos of Jenna Ortega, but certainly in the show, her eyes are straight black. The other thing I didn't catch when watching it, but I saw an interview with her. She said that she doesn't blink in the show, and I went back and watched it, and it's true. Like maybe she blinks like once or twice or something, but it's very rare. It's just part of the character. She didn't want the character to have to blink. Can't imagine what that might be like. So there's no real particular order I'm doing any of this in. The most notable thing about her really in this photo is probably her hand and her hair. But I wanted to get started on the eyes just so that I kind of have an idea of where this is going and whether or not it's going to be a failure or not. Not above failing. But if I can avoid it, that'd be cool. So a lot of the people I typically hang out with are actually watching somebody else's show tonight, so it's probably just going to be us, which is cool. Definitely some shading in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and shade this in. The other thing I don't really know how to do very well with colored pencils, so I'm actually trying to practice with colored pencils as well. I'm not really sure the proper way to shade. I heard that you can get some paint thinner and thin out your colored pencils, but I have not tried that. I don't have any paint thinner, so all I'm doing is trying to blend some of the shadow in with the color, and hopefully that'll work. So again, her hair on the right side is also pretty obscuring. So where I would normally be drawing like the eyelashes more or the eyebrow, all of that is kind of covered up in her face. She's got kind of like a hoodie of hair that she peeks out through, which is cool. It's all part of the character. Now, you do see part of her eyebrow through her hair, through here, but there's not really a lot of detail either to that. It's just kind of like a dark shape, like kind of what I'm doing here. And then that actually kind of like wraps into her hair. Alright, well, that's enough to get started, I think. Okay, alright, so now that I have our eyes done, I feel more comfortable moving into the hair, which is really what I wanted to kind of tackle because that's where all the color is. And that's really what I wanted to work on in this particular picture. Like if I don't finish this picture tonight, I'll feel okay as long as I've got some color in it, because that's what I wanted to practice with. I've got, let's see, I've got the lid somewhere. I've got these colored pencils, and I have quite a few, but it's not like I have every color under the sun. Like I've got two sets, but I picked out the colors that I think might work. But I'm not a color expert either, so I really don't know. Like, I'm a little nervous. This is, what is this? Blue vert pale or something? I don't know. It kind of matches the color that I think her hair is going to be, but it's really hard to judge until I add it and just see how it goes. I mean, that's okay. I kind of like that. Her hair is not all one color. And where in graphite pencils, which I think I'm more comfortable with, it really doesn't matter. It's all like gray and whites and things like that. You don't have to pick colors so carefully. So obviously her hair is not all blue. I'm just laying down kind of like some base here. And I'll come back with other colors. This is why it's hard for me to judge how long it's going to take to do this picture, because I'm kind of in unfamiliar territory here with doing colored pencils. So it starts off as this kind of lighter blue, but then it starts going into like a darker blue, which that's a bit much. Let me go with this one. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of blend it into this other color, but not much because I want to kind of bring it back into blue. Actually, I'm going to use this blue instead. Yeah, it's kind of a darker blue. But her hair isn't really blue either. It's black. It's just catching the lights around her. Come back and add some more detail later, but I kind of wanted to test how this is going to go, because I kind of wanted to go into this indigo blue. Like, I don't know how much of these colors are actually showing up on screen, but this is, it looks black to me, but it's kind of a blue color. It's an indigo blue. I actually like this color. I think this is pretty cool. I'll come back and add some more detail there later. Okay, and then it goes into the black. So let me try to blend that together and fill in this gap. The other thing is I find that I have to bear down pretty hard to get these colored pencils to actually do what I want them to do. And then I find myself having to sharpen them a lot. Hey, that's kind of cool. So this all through here is like straight up black, so I feel comfortable just coming in, kind of adding that as a shape. Alright, that's blue. Let me grab this black here. Yeah, I set out to do a picture that has color and most of it is black. That's okay. It's the highlights that matter. And then I'm going to go ahead and frame in her face here. So, I mean, it's not terrible. I love that my standard is, not terrible. Okay. Alright. Now, coming off of her scalp, you also have layers of color as well. So you only have the thin band of this like kind of like light blue before it starts getting dark again. In fact, up here it is pretty dark. And then this also comes down. You have a kingfisher birds over there. Kingfisher birds. I think so. I think so, but I don't know a lot about birds. It sounds familiar, like we do. I will look that up and find out for you. Just Dave is the guy I chat to, like all the time anyway, so I know where he lives. I'll follow up on that and get back with you. All right, so I don't want to like pencil that in too much because it's not all just like one solid thing. There's like strands of hair in her hair, in her head, strands of hair in her head. So they're much thinner lines that come down to right about where her nose is. They all come off the central part here. Definitely a strand. So a lot of what I do when I'm drawing is I'm just kind of like picking out shapes. Even though I know that this is all hair, there's actually like a lot of shapes in the hair. And that's what I'm trying to duplicate. So when I do like a band of color right there, it's because I noticed that there's a band of color in the original picture. I don't know if this is the perfect color here, but it's the only thing that kind of matches the original. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Here I'm going to really press down because I know this heavy pressing that I'm doing is just because it's the only way I know to blend these colored pencils. That's something I'm going to have to like actually watch a tutorial on so that I can practice more with it later. Hey Richard, how's it going? Richard, I haven't gotten that picture out to you yet. I was going to do it today, but I kind of slept in a little bit because I was up late last night. But I will try to get that in the mail to you tomorrow. Richard is the first guy who's ever chatted in this stream. Not this stream, but the one from the other day. So I promised him that I would send him the picture I did that day of Sherlock Holmes. Which, you know, I do that kind of stuff sometimes. Just randomly send things out. So now you can kind of see that this is starting to come together and blend a little bit more. instead of looking like it's just a crayon. I think these are actual pencil crayons. I don't know what they're called for real, but they're basically colored pencils. And then, they're kind of cool. You can layer with them, apparently. Didn't know that beforehand. I think I'm just going to get this solid color down. I thought maybe I had to do the highlights first, but it looks like through here I was able to add the highlights over the darker. So as long as I don't make it too dark where there's going to be highlights, I think I'm going to be safe. Where's my black pencil? I kind of want to bring up the black over here some more. Because that is more black than blue. So it's kind of starting to take shape. You're not really going to see like what I see in my mind until we get closer to the end, I think. What I see in my mind is the actual picture because that's what I'm staring at. Hopefully you guys see that a little bit as well as we get closer to the end. Alright, so her part actually goes that. Did I cut my hair? No, I did not. I have kind of grown out some stubble though. That's what I do. By Friday, I just don't care anymore. Let's see. Alright, so with this darker blue, you come in and kind of add the flow of her hair because it's not all flat. And I also want to make sure, like, you can't barely see them in the picture, but there's all these like little white spots. Of course her hair isn't white, so I got to make sure I cover all that up. Or like really press down hard to get that in there. So as you can see, I'm just switching from pencil to pencil, kind of layering color. Which I think is working out. Yeah, I think that's working out. Now, it's not all straight up blue either. There's some highlight up here. So yeah, what's cool is with my colored pencils. So even though that was super dark a moment ago, I can actually add some layer over it, which is going to be darker than the other, but it is in the picture too, so I feel comfortable with that. So now it kind of looks a lot more solid hair there, where it wasn't before. Like when you go back and watch the time lapse, I think it'll be cool how that kind of comes together. All right, so I kind of want to do some stuff up in here, but I'm not going to yet. I'm actually going to have her hair finished up more on the other side as well. Even though I'm not really working in that area, I think it looks weird if it's like half a hairdo. Yeah, you guys missed Vertigo. He stopped in last week. He's always fun. One of these days I'll hire an assistant to watch the chat for me and make sure I'm not missing something. Because that's one of the challenges with doing a live stream, I think, while drawing, is that, you know, use Vaseline to deepen the color. There's a neat trick. So I don't have any Vaseline, but maybe I'll pick some up and give that a shot. I like that. I did hear something about, like, I think there's some oil in these pencils, and if you add oil, it's certainly true with like oil pastels, but I think it's true with colored pencils as well. That does do, you know, some neat effects. So I am going to practice with that, but I have to pick up some first. Since I'm just starting out, I'm kind of just starting with stuff I've had laying around the house a long time. You can see these pencils are still pretty long. I've had them for years. I barely ever use them. So I figure I'll start with the stuff that I've got and then build up from there. Hey, Treasure Warriors is watching. Don't be too, don't be too harsh on me. You guys missed the part where I said I don't know what I'm doing. I'm practicing. So if you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know shit about drawing pictures, yeah, that's kind of the whole point. Practice makes perfect. I don't care if you guys are watching me. Creeps? Go ahead, watch me. I don't care. You're not gonna make me nervous. I have a steady hand with this pencil. All right. Well, if you're new on the show, watching me, uh, I started off with the eyeballs and then I moved to the hair because these are the most striking features on Wednesday Addams. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing Wednesday Addams. Um, and the goal of this particular one, oh, debating who might. Well, I'm definitely open to recommendations. My dog doesn't seem to want to help. So my goal is to practice with color, which I have not done a lot of work in color. I'm used to like just drawing with pencil and paper. So getting all the different shades in the hair right, things like that, it's a little bit challenging. Hey, thanks, Tyler. So this area through here is almost solid black, so I'm just gonna kind of press down really hard. Maybe in the future I'll try some of these tricks people are talking about. Pink and black fingernails for Hitman Heart. Alright. I don't know what you guys are talking about in chat. I'm not sure you guys know what you're talking about in chat either. But I'm happy you're here. I appreciate you guys. I'm feeling all Bob Ross on a Friday night. Like, just happy little hair, happy little shades. Alright. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Alright, again, I don't want to go too far with like the solid color down here because it's not all solid color until you get to right around here. So I feel more comfortable kind of blocking that in. The rest is like individual strands of hair, which I have to be a little bit more careful with. But I'll come back to that. It was an awesome day. Hey, Chris Hurst, how's it going? If I missed some of you guys in here, I'm sorry. I'm half paying attention. Hopefully this turns out good. I think it's going to. I think it's going to turn out decent. But perfect, I don't know. Alright, so again, like with the other side, I don't want any. So this stuff through here looks, drawn. I mean, to me that looks unfinished. So I have to come in and I have to add an extra layer over to kind of really fill in that color and blend it into the black, because that's kind of what's going on in her hair. It's not, it's black hair, but it's catching all the window pane behind her, things like that. So I don't want any of this white showing through because it looks unfinished. I'm not going for like super realistic here, but like, I don't know, half realistic maybe. My legendary Leroy voice. I can't do that on demand, Tyler. Like, I'll try though. Like, shut up, stupid. I'm just drawing some hair. So you can kind of see like what happened there. So a lot of that sketched look becomes painted look, even though it really is just, just kind of really bearing down hard on this. All right, I'm happy enough with that. Okay, so I need to sharpen this pencil so I can get some fine lines. So here on her forehead, I don't know what color I should use for that. That's the challenge. So like when you're dealing with color, I'm gonna have a sip of bourbon while thinking about it. When dealing with color, you have to pick the right colors to use, and I don't think I have the color I need for this. Let's see. Let's see if this will work. So this is flesh color through here, but it's kind of like a darker flesh color because it's obscured by her hair. And then I think there's probably some, add that a little bit, kind of soften it up a little bit. I think that'll work. So yeah, it looks like what I was concerned about isn't so much a thing when you layer the pencil on top of each other. Hey, thanks, Ashley. I see some of your artwork too. That's a compliment coming from you. We're doing Wednesday Addams, in case you guys didn't know. I showed a picture in the beginning of like, well, here, I'll just show it real quick. So that's what we're doing. And this is where we are so far. It's a process. It's not meant to look exactly like it at first. I'm losing track of like which pencils I've got in my hand and which I don't. Alright. Okay. So this is all dark through here. And then like I said, it gets into individual strands through here, so I kind of want to be a little more careful in bringing these down. Even though you guys probably can't see because this isn't zoomed in super far. They're really tight individual thin lines. Like if I was doing this in regular leaded pencils, I would probably be using a mechanical pencil. That's how fine these lines are. Or it's supposed to be. They're not coming out that way, but that's okay. That's fine, because I'm going to instead add some color in here behind it. And then come back with the lighter color to try to blend that a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. It is what it is. I am not trying for perfection here. I'm trying for passable. Does it resemble Wednesday Addams enough? Alright, so there is some blue up here. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in just because it's looking naked. And that comes across. It's not all black through there. So there's probably some more detail I can put in here, but I'm not going to spend a lot more time on this part of the hair. I want to come down and kind of do some of the face here. So it looks like this color combination is working out for the flesh tone. So I'm going to continue with this, which is kind of adding a little bit of brown. I'm going to go ahead and define her nose just because it looks kind of weird just like that. The lighting isn't the best in here either. I got like lamps on it and stuff, but they're all like kind of some yellow light. So there is more detail around her eyeball or eye socket, but I'm going to add that in a little bit later. I need a brown. Do I have a brown? Kind of looks like a brown. So she doesn't really have nostrils here, and it should be a little bit darker than this, or like a little, I gotta throw in some black is what I'm saying. It's not really darker, it's just this isn't the right color, so I gotta, in my limited set of pencils, I have to mix some colors, which petrifies me because I'm not very good at it. Or not very confident in it, at least. I don't care if I'm good at it, I just don't know if I can pull it off. Okay. So that looks weird. So let me define some more of her nose so that it looks less weird. So I mentioned before, like in some of the other ones that I've done, you're not really drawing lines when you're drawing a nose. Like the lines of the nose don't really exist in nature. You're not drawing a cartoon nose or something like that. You're just adding shading, and that's what defines the nose. There's no sharp edges here. There's no nothing that catches the light at a hard angle. The nose is supposed to be soft. I don't know what you guys are talking about in chat, so if there's anything that I should pay attention to, you let me know. Alright, so I'm going to kind of like blend this a little bit to kind of, one, give it more flesh color instead of just this brownish thing that's here, but also to kind of soften up some of this. So I want to leave a lot of highlight on on the bridge of her nose and around her nose, whatever this part is. This is not an anatomy lesson. And then that kind of comes off too. So, I mean, it doesn't look perfect on camera, but it's starting to look better to me. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this all down here. I'm just kind of trying to add a little bit of definition to it. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'll come back and work with it some more later. Alright, I'm not happy with that part. Let's see, what colored pencils do I have here? blue, black. So this is a little bit darker. I don't want to go too crazy with this. Alright. So I'm gonna need to sharpen this one. So you guys looking forward to the weekend? Anybody's got any weekend plans? Anything special going on? Oh. Pencil broke. Try that again. That's how they get you to buy more pencils. They make it so that they break every 5 seconds. I mentioned in another stream what kind of pencils these are. They're just Prismacolor. I don't know where all you can pick them up. I think I picked these up at Michael's. They're all over the place, so they're not that special. I don't think they cost a lot of money, but they're pretty good. I like them. I'm gonna try to blend. Huh. Hey, it kind of works. Hey, I learned a new trick. I can blend. Neat. Well, do I have a blending stump? Let me try a blending stump. That kind of works. So blending kind of like softens up some of the harsh lines that you get, or the harsh texture you get with pencils in general. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this rouge color. I'm going to add a little bit to this. Kind of define this. Because there is some color in her eye here, I feel. And then there's color beneath her eye. Eyeshadow? I don't know what you would call that. Girls would know. That's actually kind of purple too, so I'm going to come back with this. Kind of add some more color. That's not what I'm going to end up with. I'm just kind of layering some color just to see which ones I like. For her eyeshadow. Yeah, I kind of like that, so I'm going to bring that over here as well. It's all part of the Wednesday Addams style, this eyeshadow. Alright, so that's way too much on this other side, so I'm going to try to soften that up. And all I'm doing is kind of penciling over what I already had there, and it kind of smooths it out, but then also adds, you know, more the correct color I was wanting. Alright, so kind of soften that up. Alright, so I'm starting to lose some of the detail in this, so I'm going to take a swig of bourbon and then start adding some of that back in. So her hair comes around here, and then the highly defined line that comes up, and then this stuff here I can all just kind of block in. So again, I'm having to press down really hard to get rid of that texture that was there. I really wish I could just come back with a marker and do some of this stuff. Yeah, that's better. It's not terrible. Alright, and then these. How do they look on camera? Oh, they don't look terrible. Okay. So I kind of messed that up. Let's see if I can cover a... it's not going to be perfect. Alright. So at this point, let me resharpen this. I do like colored pencils, but just working with color in general is hard. Some shadow through here. And this down. So the thing about the whites of the eyes is they're not like actually white. They are draped in shadow. And in fact, I could probably get away with a little bit of color in that too. And I'm going to try to blend that a little bit just to soften it up. That's a bit much. And then let me go back to her eyelashes. Her eyebrows actually come down and around like that a little bit, and then this is all dark through here too. This kind of comes around in a very thin line. And then that very thin line has some eyelashes that come off of it, which are really super fine as well. I really should be using a mechanical pencil. I really want to, but that's cheating. Well, compared to the other eye, it doesn't look great, but... Alright, and then this part through here is kind of like the pink of the eye. The tear ducts, I guess. Alright, well, it is what it is through there. So again, it's just practice, you know. I may not get it perfect, but what kind of sucks about this picture... Oh, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. What kind of sucks about this picture is Wednesday Addams, you know, she's on Netflix. You can just kind of go and look her up and see how bad I did. Like, I can't hide this one. When drawing a picture of my dog, you guys have never met my dog, so you don't know what my dog looks like. As long as it looks like a dog, I can pass it off as my dog. That's what sucks with doing famous people. Or, if I was doing a picture of someone's loved one or something, they have a very clear idea of what their wife or daughter or son or whatever the family member is. They have a pretty clear idea of what they look like. So if I were not to able to duplicate that very well, they will know. And there's nothing I can do about it. All right, so she's got, again, eyelashes. They're very fine. It's really hard to do. Just kind of. And the other thing, this many layers of colored pencils, it would be very difficult to erase and start over. So you kind of have to just commit to it and just decide, well, it is what it is at some point. Like, I mean, if I wanted to redo her eyes at this point, I'm kind of screwed. Like if I thought, oh, one's not big enough or whatever, I'm committed to it now. All right, so what can I work on next? Bring this down because that's kind of what it looks like in the picture. And kind of fill this in because this is all shaded. All right, so I think at this point, working left to right, really no reason for that. Draw a skyjacker. Oh, like DB Cooper? My audience doesn't know anything about DB Cooper. You guys are my audience. Most of the people who hang out here are the people who are on the Forrest Finn forum, um, the treasure hunt for like $1 million in gold. And they come in here and they hang out with me. It's kind of cool. So I'm just going to kind of move on to the other side of the hair, which is draped in like a more of a purple than the blue. That's what I kind of like about this. So again, the exercise today is to try to work with colors because I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to drawing pencil pictures. Um, so definitely out of my comfort zone. I don't know what color pencils to pick. I don't really know how to layer them. I don't know how to blend them. I don't know anything of what I'm doing. I'm basically working off of pure luck here and hoping for the best. Now, in addition to the purple, there's also some more of that blue in here, so I'm going to add that. That actually comes around to just above where the ear is, and right next to. Oh, by the way, this is Wednesday Addams playing the cello. That's another one of my New Year's resolutions. Is not the cello, but I actually got some online classes for playing the violin. Partly because I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, and in addition to my art lessons or whatever I'm doing here, I'm also attempting to learn the violin. And I can tell you, I'm a much better drawer than I am a violin player. Right now, it just sounds like a bunch of wailing cats. But I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of cool to learn the violin, learn some drawing, becoming like a street musician or street artist, something like that. The other thing is, I kind of force myself to do this live so that I can get used to people watching me draw because I am not used to that. I don't make a habit of that. One of these days, I plan on maybe, just sitting in a park or something and drawing, maybe broadcasting while I'm doing that, just to give that a go and see how I am with people in person watching me draw. It's a process. You know, you stretch your comfort zone and then keep stretching it and stretching it and stretching it until you break whatever barrier is preventing you from doing things. That's how I function. I like to intentionally challenge myself with the one thing that I don't want to do. I don't want to hang out in public and have them watch me draw pictures, but I am going to do that anyway so that I get over that. Yeah, this is working out. Okay. All right. So again, like with the other side, this looks sketched, right? So like this is what your kid might draw or something like that. When this side over here, it looks more painted, and that's just because I really just kind of blend them all together, which I didn't know I would know how to do, but apparently it's working out that way that I am able to do this with these colored pencils. I don't have a lot of experience with colored pencils, so I didn't know you could kind of like almost paint with them where you throw layer upon layer. That's kind of cool to me. I mean, you end up with so many layers you probably like really press them through the paper, but that's okay. I don't care about that. Let's see now. Ooh. So I think I started this at 8, so like this isn't bad for an hour's worth of work. I thought it was like 2 hours in or something like that. Unfortunately, I have a lot more to go, so if you guys get bored, feel free to tune out. I'm not going to hold it against you. Like I mentioned earlier, I do convert these to shorts, which are only like a minute long. How many fingers does Wednesday have? She's got 5. You can't see them here. Okay, so like they're there. So she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a thumb that wraps around that I didn't really sketch out very well. Again, I'm not good with hands, so I kind of just left that up to the actual process of drawing it in. Hopefully, it'll gain some definition and it'll look more like a thumb. But she's got 5. They're all there. This is not a Simpsons cartoon. So this is all black through here. So I can go ahead and really put that in there. And so I'm going to come back with, I'm holding these color pencils, but I don't know where. Yeah, I'm kind of liking how that looks. It almost looks like oil painting, which I have never done. Oil paints are beyond my budget. I have not bought any oil paints. So you will not catch me doing oil paints on here unless, you know, again, I talk myself into doing it later. But what was my point? Oh, yeah. The way this is blending, it really does look like, really does look more like painting than penciling. I like that. I wonder if I can add over this. This probably isn't going to work, but I'm going to try this white pencil and see if I can get some. Oh, yeah, that kind of works. Get some really super sharp highlights in here. I also have a gel pen that I will probably use later on to add even more highlights, but see if I can. Does that translate to? No, that's not going to translate to screen, but it kind of looks cool to me, so I'm just going to do it anyway. Yeah, I can fix some of those strands of hair that I've screwed up earlier. I almost said the F word. I don't know if kids watch this. All right, cool. Okay, so now she doesn't have any lips, so I should probably start on that. This is going to be tough because I don't really know what color her lipstick is. I am not a girl. I don't wear lipstick, so it's hard for me to tell. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the feedback. All right, so I'm going to try this pencil here, but I don't know if it's the right color. So I'll add some shading later. So I'm not too worried if this is the wrong color. But I kind of want to get that started just because it's kind of like an empty space on the picture. Like if I don't finish this and I just want to call it done, I can't really call it done if she doesn't have a mouth. So I'm going to do that. There is some light in this, but I'm going to layer that. I'm going to fix something real quick. I think that this should be coming up a little bit more through there. Some of that dark. That would bother me. Alright, anyway. So anyway, that is the wrong color. I know that now. I don't know what would be the right color. I don't have like a straight up purple anywhere, I don't think. Well, maybe this is. Let me try this. Maybe this with that other color. Yeah, that might work. Yeah, you try things, hope for the best. So when I was talking about doing the nose earlier, I said that those lines don't really exist in nature. It's just all shading. There are actual sharp lines on lips, especially women's lips when they're wearing lipstick. There's like a clear separation from not lip and lip. So you do kind of have to put those lines in addition to shading. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's one of the other reasons why I wanted to do Wednesday Addams. Like I said, I saw some other people drawing Wednesday Addams, and I've been wanting to do it for a while. But the reason why I'm doing it now is because I did notice that they confirmed that there's going to be a season two. I really enjoyed season one. If you guys have not seen the show, again, I'm not going to throw out any spoilers, but it is worth the watch. It's kind of probably made for young adults, like teenagers and things like that. But there's definitely enough there for people my age to watch and still enjoy it. If you enjoy watching Harry Potter, definitely any kind of like young adult detective story like Nancy Drew, things like that, I think that you would enjoy it. Um, there's it's got a lot of popularity. A lot of people are into it. Um, when a show hits Netflix, it's hit or miss. You don't really know if it's going to be any good or not, just because it's Wednesday, right? Like it's a recognizable character. Everybody knows who she is. Um, but there's a lot of ways that can go bad too. I mean, a lot of people really like the movies that they made before. I don't even know when those came out, but um, a lot of people like those movies. So when you see Wednesday, Jenna Ortega, you might have like a lot of memories of Christina Ricci playing Wednesday, and you may be like, well, I'm gonna hate her, but I think that she rises to the role. Like, I think they did a good casting job, not just on her, but the other characters as well. I think they did a really good job. This girl plays the part very well. She definitely understands, what Wednesday is all about, and like I mentioned earlier, she doesn't blink just because she thought, hey, you know what? I don't I don't think that Wednesday would. She's got this intense stare all the time, and little details like that. I think when an actor brings that to the table, it just increases the production value. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm just filling air. But I'm going to stand by it. It has a production value. This is probably the wrong color, but so there is some like highlight on her lips. That's fine. In the original picture, her lips look more fuller than what I can see here, but I don't know. Maybe it's not translating well. Let me sharpen this and see if I can put in some fine lines here. So the lips have like a lot of texture to them, and you can definitely have some fun with doing the highlights of that. So at this point, I kind of want to bring some color. I forget what I was using though for that. I think it's a combination of this pencil and that pencil. Definitely need some bourbon. I enjoy drinking while I draw. I think at some point I'm going to try to do one of these at the local pub. And I haven't asked permission for it or anything like that. I just kind of want to go in there, set up a camera and everything, and just kind of sit down and start drawing. And strike up a conversation. Like I said, this is partly to get outside my comfort zone and talk to people and things like that. What better way to start a conversation? That's why I like that you guys come in here and you guys talk to me and chat with me while I'm doing this, because I work from home. I chat with people sometimes over video chat, but in my day-to-day, I don't talk to a lot of people. And I'm an introvert, but I do like talking to people. Some introverts, they get like completely drained from the experience. I don't have that problem. I don't know, prefer not talking to people. But when I think about it, though, I think, well, that's not a good way to go through life. So I challenge myself, and I go out there, and I want to broaden my horizons, meet some people, chat with them. And it's fine to do it online, but sometimes you got to kind of go out into the real world as well. I'm going to try to blend this in just to soften it up. I don't know how that's going to work, but I also think I need to come through and add some more of that flesh tone color. So she's got, let's see, on this side, she's got kind of like a shadow coming through here, but then there's a highlight right above it. So it looks weird, but I'm leaving this open for that highlight that I'm going to put in a moment. Now I'm going to try to soften that up by adding some of this color here. And I think those two colors, whatever they were, in fact I need to remember where I put that pencil so I can use it again. Maybe this one? Put that to the side so I don't lose it. I think this and this flesh colored one really kind of softens up this. And let's see. The one thing you don't want to do is just make her face look dirty, you know, which you run the risk of. Because basically this is dirt that you're applying to it. It's colored dirt. I don't know. I don't know what colored pencils are made of. I'm going to call it dirt. Okay, so as I mentioned, she's got there's a couple of different color, like lightings going on here. You've got the stained glass window behind her, which is highlighting her hair. I'm liking how that's looking. It's not perfect, but I'm happy enough with it. I'm going to add, speaking of lighting, she's got, I hope I don't break my pencil bearing down so hard. Anyway, so all of that's going on, but then there's also this light off screen somewhere, this kind of yellow, and that really comes through on her cheek. So it's not going to translate on camera very well, but I really want to put this yellow in because, again, this experiment is just on different colors. So even if I don't get the colors right, I still want to try them. So all this side is bathed in like this yellow light. And then above the yellow, it goes back to normal flesh color, which I'll go ahead and try to bring in here. So it's starting to come together, I think. I mean, it's starting to look like an actual human face. When we first started out, it probably did not. I knew where it was going, but I know that if you guys actually care, you guys were probably a little bit nervous. Well, I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't invested in it. Maybe you weren't nervous at all. But you should have been because it looked pretty terrible. But now I think it's starting to look a bit like a human being, which is always good when you're drawing a human being. You want it to kind of look like a human being. The other day I drew a dog. It would not look good if I drew a human being looking like a dog. So I'm just kind of blocking in this bit here, even though this is not what's going. It's going to be much darker. What was that pencil I used? Yeah, like this. I think this color combination works pretty well for shading. Yeah, I like that. And then, where's my black pencil? Okay, and then, do girls have sideburns? She has hair that comes down here. I guess technically they're sideburns. I don't know. I'm going to call them sideburns. Put those in. And then she has a bit of the ear, but the ear is like super in shadow, so there's not going to be like a lot of detail to it. And then the hair comes back around. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, I look forward to this. I think I might, maybe not things that are so detailed as this, maybe smaller projects, but definitely more of them throughout the week if I get the time. I didn't have the time this week. Super busy with the day job. Well, it's not really a day job, the day business. Um, I have web design clients and programming clients and things like that. It takes up a lot of my time where I don't really get a lot of time to spend on creative things. That's kind of the whole point. She's got kind of like an angle to her face. I mean, that looks terrible on camera, but maybe I can lighten that up a bit. Like she got way more prominent cheekbones than maybe Christina Ricci. I don't know. I don't want to say too many bad things because like I don't know if they're actually true. Like maybe she's self-conscious about her cheekbones. Maybe she doesn't really have high cheekbones. It's just what I see. So I don't want to be. Yeah, see, that kind of looks a little dirty. Maybe I can lighten it up some. Yeah, I think that was a mistake. Well, the cool thing about mistakes is you can just kind of cover them up. Oh, I have to keep track of my pencils so that I remember which ones. So a lot of this, I think, isn't translating well to camera, even though I got a better camera, by the way. In previous streams, I wasn't able to zoom in very well. I think I fixed that. But anyway, a lot of what I see, I don't think is translating to camera. But if you're interested in this picture, you should check out the photo I plan to take of it later to get to truly judge it. Add some white here to kind of blend that a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, you know what? Her other eye, I can do that with this blending stuff. Her other eye isn't just pure white. Yeah, it's the little things that matter. Like me adding a little bit of shade to that, I think that really is the kind of stuff that really makes something look realistic. The more you drink, the better at it. It all works. That is true. That is why I'm drinking bourbon. Like, this picture would not look half as good if I wasn't drinking. When I sober up in the morning, I'm going to hate it. That's the way it goes. Actually, I'm not drunk. So. All right. So I think I'm going to do her ear. Well, let me block in her ear. So again, I keep mentioning it, but it's true. The experiment here is, can I do color? And it's ironic because I picked a girl who has black hair. But I think it's kind of cool because the highlights of her hair really stand out. Let's see. There's something here. Okay, I'm going to bring this down. So the more I work, the initial sketch I did kind of gets lost. There's a line there. Fill this in. There we go. All right, happy with that. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I think this is actually the perfect picture because this blackness gives like a lot of definition to her. And also you get those highlights that are in color, which is really cool. This is all highlight from the Are Artists Ever Satisfied with Their Work? Not in my experience. I have never known anybody. Now, they'll pretend to be, especially professional artists who are trying to sell a piece of work or something like that. They'll pretend to be just for the client, like, oh yeah, I'm super satisfied with it. But in reality, they hate it. They're beating themselves up. They see all the flaws. I think that's natural. So I try not to beat myself up too bad. I know that there's going to be flaws in it, and I try not to hold that against myself. This is super dark, so I'm just going to add this kind of brownish color. I hope it's brown. She's got a little bit of flesh tone in there. But anyway, I try not to like hold it because if it wasn't, we call lines borders. Yes, we do. Some of these are inside jokes. Anyway, my opinion is that, like, you know, if it was perfect, it would be a photo, and I actually like work that is not photorealistic. I feel like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with photorealistic, but in my opinion, it like a little bit of style and imperfections and stuff is really what makes the artwork, because that's where you see the artist's touch, right? So like I'll probably mention this several times as I go throughout the year. I took a trip to the National Institutes of Art in Washington D.C., where they have the only Leonardo da Vinci that's on display in North America. And it was really, really impactful to me because, one, I'm a huge fan of Leonardo da Vinci. I would love to be able to do what he did. But also, you can look at that picture and you can see individual brush strokes, right? So like these individual brush strokes were laid by the man himself many, many moons ago, like 500 years ago or something. And that kind of stuff is cool to me, you know? It's kind of like a bit of a time capsule. So like you may see some imperfection in this and be like, oh, that kind of sucks. It doesn't look like a photo. But to me, that's better because you get to see the, you know, what me, the artist, put on paper. It's a big deal. I'm going to try to use this. I don't know if this is going to work, but I want a little bit of purple in here. Just because it's not all flesh color. She's got like a lot of light going on, and some of it is purple, so I want to put some of that in without darkening it too much. And I'm going to try to blend this with my hand. That's weird. Ugh. All right. I'm not happy with that ear, but I'm happy enough to move on. Maybe I can make it look less, I don't know. Looks like she's infected with something that like really messed with her ear. Anyway, so I do think imperfections are fine. And the truth is, I just plan on adding imperfections, so I don't want to hold that against myself too much. So I'm kind of justifying why I don't care so much. Yeah, this comes up. I think that's fine. Doing some lines so it looks like hair is coming over. You know, it's my picture. I can just cover that entire ear up if I wanted to. That's the cheat. Alright, I'm cool with that. I'm going to move back to this other side and do some of her braid. So she's got these highlights on her braid, so I think I'm going to start with that. Because it's not all black. There's some blue in here, just like some of these other things. So if I start with the blue, I think that'll go better. The further you get away from the face, the less details matter. They call that art. Unless you're doing like a hyper realistic picture and then everything matters because you're being judged on whether or not it looks like a photograph. Oops. 1 second, let me grab that pencil. Got all these pencils in my hand so that I don't lose them. And then there's kind of a brownish look. Yeah. Anybody know if Ben's still doing his stream or is he done or? It's kind of cool that you guys came in. So even though this line that I just drew here is not in the original picture, I like adding things like that just because, like I'll do some more over here, just because it kind of give more detail, right? So like, who's to say that her hair isn't kind of like a little disheveled? It's your picture. You can do whatever you want. You're working from a reference photo, but you're not locked into the reference photo. In fact, you might get in trouble for copyright infringement if you just copy the original photo. That's the excuse I'm going with. Truth is, I think that that's funny. Um, uh, anyway, truth is, I just like to add a little extra detail just to make it look like a better illustration, or not illustration, drawing. This is too realistic to be a illustration, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe it's still considered an illustration. What do I know? I am not an expert. So again, I mentioned earlier, I plan on doing this kind of stuff every Friday, but I might actually pop in and do more throughout the week if I find the time. But I'm committing to at least Fridays because I think it's fun just to kind of end the week on a nice, relaxing note where you're drawing pictures of Wednesday Addams or your dog, or I don't know what the next one will be. Maybe a horse, maybe a duck. Ducks. I don't know. All right, so I'm just going to trail this off because I don't know if I really want to go all the way to the border. All right, so I got this hand just living out there doing nothing. I should probably do something with that. And since I'm not very good at hands, this is where I actually screw up the entire picture. I could start with the fingernails because I know that those are black. And then there's also some highlights on them. I don't want to go all black. Um, she definitely has 5 fingers. Well, 4 fingers and a thumb. So if you guys have not watched the show, I do recommend it. And in particular, this scene where she's playing the cello is really good. Like it's a I don't think it's a spoiler to say it's a rendition of Fade to Black, which is a great song anyway. But Fade to Black on Painted Black, sorry, not Fade to Black, Painted Black on a cello is great. I don't know if she actually plays it or if they had somebody play it and she just kind of like mimicked the or acted out the playing of it, but it was really good. All right, so she got the black fingernails, and then so a lot of her fingers is actually highlighted, so it's just some simple definition, I think, of shadows, and hopefully we'll bring that out. I know I added a lot of brown there, but I'm hoping that this flesh color blends it in a little bit, which kind of looks like it will. Hmm. Let's see how it looks with the other ones. There's more dark on this one. Just gonna I know it doesn't look like much yet, but hopefully it'll come together a little bit. Hands are so weird. I should really just draw my own hand. Like, hmm. So a lot of the hand is actually shading, but there are details in the hand that make it challenging because it's not like the eyes. The eyes have like details that are manageable. The hand is like so hard. We don't want to mess it up. She's got, oh, this part actually should go through here. Goes her 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the bottom one is the thumb, which is draped in shadow. That is not actually part of. And then this part comes through a bit like that. It's a bit of a challenge, I ain't gonna lie. I think the problem is that I draw off of shapes, and the shape of the fingers are very difficult for me for some reason. I'm going to go ahead and add some of this so that I know where one ends and one begins. Because it's really, her thumb is all bathed in shadow there. And the shadow comes off of that cello neck. I think that's fine. Like I said, I'm not going to beat myself up too much about some of these things. Uh, but, and I'm not even done, so. my blue. Alright, so there's some lines in here to help define that a little bit better. This actually comes up. There's a bit of black in here. Because again, that's her thumb. And then this, there are some lines in her hand. I don't want her to look like she has old woman hands. I think I can fix some of this. This comes down. And she's got kind of like this long line that comes through here. And she's got some shading here. Sorry if I'm not narrating what I'm doing so well, but kind of trying to salvage this handle a little bit. I want to kind of go with this color, I think, because there's like a lot of pink up in here. Definitely some brown. So those aren't just lines, those are shadows. And this kind of comes around like this. Oh, I hate hands. Oh well. It is what it is. Gotta do it though. Got to do it. Practice, practice, practice. Alright, I think I can get away with maybe adding some more detail here. Might look better if I add some of the detail of these other fingers. This one, there's a line that comes up. And then this is kind of bathed in blue. And it's kind of blended with this color a bit. A little bit of yellow all along here. Yeah, this is kind of fun. I think this is turning out okay. I'm not. You can see I moved on from the hand just because I wasn't liking it very much, but I do think I can actually fix that a little bit. I could fix it by adding more definition to some of these other areas, which kind of brings out the fingers a little bit more. Like that. And then a little bit of yellow there. And then I can kind of start reshaping that hand a bit. What I could tell you is that I'm not nervous about the hand, but that would be a lie. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So kind of working to recover. I'm good with that. Now, this is way too dark through here. So let me see if I can lighten that up a little bit and see if that fixes anything. Did I go to art school? No, I did not. I just, started drawing at a young age and just kind of stuck with it a little bit over the years and never been formally educated or anything like that. I've watched some tutorials here and there, but nothing that I would consider formal education. I really should, but I have not. I appreciate the question though. Like, no, I have never gone to school for this. It kind of, you can tell. Because I think somebody who went to school would be able to do hands better. Let's see. Alright, well maybe it'll look better if I add some more detail to these other fingers. Alright, so that comes down. This definitely goes across that piece. There is some shadow in the knuckle, so this one, that's part of the problem. This knuckle, here comes around and up and down. Yeah, I think that might help. Yeah, that's starting to look more like a hand. Yeah, so it's anatomy, I think. So if I understood the anatomy of the hand, I would be better at drawing hands, I think, because like after defining these knuckles a little bit better, I think that's coming out better, not perfect. Blend some of this so that it doesn't look so sketchy. That's not looking that bad. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to beat myself up over that. blur it out. It's not a focal point anyway, I don't think. Alright, so maybe I'll come back and add more detail to that later, but I really want to get more of this neck in here, the neck of the cello. Hey, thanks, Lorraine. Let's see, what did Ryan say? I didn't really realize there were pencils that could make things lighter before your videos. Yeah, so, I mean, I didn't know until I actually sat down to do this picture. I've worked with colored pencils before, but I've never really done something that, you know, I'm trying to make it realistic. It was just like sketches of color. So, what I'm trying to teach myself here is actually color a little bit better. And what I'm finding is I had no idea that you can create layers with the colored pencils. So like, you know, you can draw over other colors and kind of blend it in that way. I was concerned going into this how I might actually blend some of these. But as you can see in the hair, it kind of paints it on. So like I could come in and I can add, you know, like a line over this, and yeah, you can see it right there. So this line is actually painted over those other ones. I think that's cool. You know, who knew? Probably somebody who actually knew what they were doing would know, but that's not me. So yeah, it's actually it's surprising me as well. Long story short. So I'm gonna add. Try to straighten these lines out because these are the cello strings themselves. And the shadows from the cello strings. So I kind of want those to be straight lines, which I'm not perfect at either, but that's okay. Kind of using this indigo blue to create the shadow of that. And then I've got this other one that I think is good for the lines themselves. And I've got this one. You guys are very nice to me. I appreciate that. I wouldn't really like hold it against you if you said it was crap either, because I mean it is a learning process. So like you can call it crap, and I might actually agree with you because the whole point is to get better. So if you just started off perfect, that's not going anywhere. You're not really learning anything. So to the point about like layering. So you can kind of see that the texture of the paper and the just the way the pencils work causes this to be very chalky through here. But I don't like that. So I'm just going to come in with a white pencil and just kind of like go over it. And as you can see, that kind of smooths it out. So like I didn't know that that was like an option with colored pencils to where you can blend that way. But it seems to work, and I'm kind of happy with it because it kind of creates a smoother effect. And to a lesser degree, I'll do the, well, let me get this indigo blue pencil. I'll come back and do the darker ones too. I mean, to me that looks like a cello handle or neck or whatever you call it. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So, wow. Still a bit to do. So, bourbon time. So I think I'm going to move on to the neck because I feel like this part down here, if I just kind of sketched it in, it's not really going to take away from the picture. But if I did that with the cello neck, it would probably not look as great. So I'm just kind of blocking in. This doesn't have to be perfect because again, it's not the focal point. So like if you like, especially like when you're doing like a, yeah, it's a weird way to play the guitar. Um, it is not a guitar; it's a cello. And honestly, if you have Netflix, I encourage you to go and watch this scene because it is just a phenomenal bit. But anyway, so especially when you're like doing a online, live stream or something like that, you don't have to be super perfect with pieces that aren't part of the focal point, which is probably the face and the hair. Um, so I don't mind just coming in and kind of like abstracting and kind of hinting at these pieces here. I don't think it takes away too much. Keep looking at the reference photo. This head of the cello, um, it's kind of an interesting shape. I'm not doing it justice. So this bit comes around here. This bit is kind of like a circle. And then you've got some highlights on the side that I'm not going to do yet. But really, if you're just getting started with like drawing and stuff, I'm just drawing in shapes that I see. They end up looking like the reference photo, but that's only because I'm copying shapes, you know. Shapes that I see end up being a cello in the end. So this probably isn't going to translate, but this is like a yellow color. There's a lot of this cello that is in a yellow light, just kind of like the same as her cheekbone here. That would be more apparent if I had like a background that I painted in, but I'm not going to do that at this point. Maybe I'll do it later. So I'm kind of just like abstractly putting in these bits because it really doesn't matter. It's not like they have to be perfect. We can call them blurred if we want. Like they're kind of blurred in the background. Um, there is a knob on this side. I feel like this is a mistake. Let me see if I can erase it. Oh, cool. Yeah, so like I was a little nervous because I didn't know if the eraser would erase over. I'm just kind of erasing some of the smudge from the pencil drawing. Anyway, I'll come back and fix that later. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. I'll come back and fix that later. Alright, I'm going to go with this blue. I'm going to put in this bit here. This comes in. This is a really cool cello. It's only blue because it's picking up reflections off of the surroundings, but I'm sure it's actually black in real life. So I'm just kind of quickly putting in these shapes just to make progress. What you don't see off camera is that I'm constantly sharpening pencils. So it does have this kind of like neck that comes out. I'm going to do most of that in black, or at least the bottom. The top does have highlights on them. Never saw a black cello. Yep. Well, this is Wednesday Addams. She's all black. She loves the color black. I don't remember if they said in the show where she got this cello. Maybe they did. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I assume it was from like a family member or something like that. But of course, she's going to have a dark cello. Now, it may actually be blue in real life. I don't know. But she's surrounded by blue in the reference photo. So it's picking up a lot of that color. But why not a black cello? I think black cellos are cool. This one is. There might be some more definition to this knob, but it's kind of like faded out. I don't even, like, what's the proper term for this? Is it a knob? Is it? So there's actually two of them. This one stops about here. Comes up. Let's see. And then the second one goes into this little dark area here. I'm just gonna kind of blend this together a little bit. Yeah, it is cool. I wouldn't mind having one. Like I said, I'm planning on learning the violin, but I kind of like cello too. It's kind of like the base of the string instruments. Well, I guess the bass guitar is also a string instrument, but it's kind of cool. You can play it with a bow, or you can pluck it. I've seen both. I'm sure you have as well. So this part comes down here. This is all dark. This goes into the neck. In fact, this part's dark. You can just kind of rough this stuff in. Not too worried about details here because there aren't that many. Go back to this yellow that you guys probably can't see because that is what's here. Don't know what's going on there. I think I kind of got blue coming across here. Let me sharpen that. Oh, tuning peg. That's a great name. Okay, tuning peg. Yeah, like I said, this is not an educational show. If I happen to get a term correct, it's purely accidental. Tuning peg is perfect. Thank you, Christy. And by the way, hi. Alright, so there's like this. This is probably the end of the tuning peg from the other side. So I wanted to kind of give that a little bit of definition because it's actually a defined shape. It's nice when you don't have defined shapes because you can kind of just abstractly kind of rough it in. But when you do encounter something that is in actual shape, you kind of want to get it right. Take a look at this real quick. So I need to separate these two somehow. One comes down, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of got this little notch on the end. And then this other one, this my indigo blue. So this has kind of got this more roundness to it. It comes down into the shadows here. And these kind of blend together only because there's a highlight here that I neglected to put in. I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with just adding the highlight now. But I'm going to try. Oh, actually, that works. Sweet! Learn something new. Okay, so now I've got some definition between the two. That's kind of cool. Oh, okay. Study to be a music teacher. That's cool. Um, yeah, I don't know if you were here, but I mentioned that I'm actually trying to learn also the violin this year. So that's what I need as a music teacher. I ended up signing up for an online course. Rather, I was given an online course for Christmas, and I've gotten through like the first, I guess, lesson, and it didn't go so bad. I'm I'm learning. I know how to hold it now, so that's good. All right, so I got this side of the head done. I'm gonna come across and do the other side, and I think I'm gonna start with this color, and then I'll come back in. I want to leave some space for because I screwed up here. I want to leave some space on the other side for that highlight, which I did not do on this side. And I'm not perfect with these shapes here. I'm just kind of roughing them in because, like, I've been on here for a while, and I want to make sure that you guys aren't up forever watching me do this. While there's no real set time limit for these things, they're just challenges I give myself. I do kind of want to keep it under a couple of hours, and to me that means sacrificing a little bit of detail, but I'm okay with that because I'm not really going for photorealistic. What I'm going for is improving, you know, my existing skill set and picking up new ones. So in this case, this one's all about color. So even though there are some parts to it that I wish I could improve, and maybe I'll come back and touch upon those. I'm not too. I'm not beating myself up too much because this is all about just getting the right color, or not even getting the right colors, but just getting better colors. Because I'm not used to dealing with colors. I'm used to dealing with black and white pencil sketches. Like I would say, this stuff through here is probably not the right colors, but I'm not going to beat myself up because they're passable. It looks okay. Look, I mean, you look at that and you see a hand, right? So that's good enough for this particular challenge of my own. All right, so yeah, I mean that kind of looks like a roughed out cello. Yeah, yeah, if it doesn't, yeah, exactly. Um, so I feel like actually, since we've got the cello neck, I feel like should probably put in the cello bottom. Now, fortunately, that's just solid shapes. There's a little bit of detail, but I feel like I can kind of sketch those in. It's just a hint of color. So I'm going to use my white to kind of take off some of the roughness of that. Which, again, I mean, as far as like progressing, I have learned this is a great technique for doing that. It just kind of blends things in. I guess I can come in with. I do have a blending stump. I use it for. Can kind of use this blending stump as well. And the idea is to make it look less chalky. Okay, so it does have a little bit of dimension to it. I don't know if that's like natural, but it shows up in the thing. So you got a little bit of a darker bit up here, which I'll just kind of blend in. do have kind of like these lines, these sort of wood grains. So I'm not too worried about this area here because this is like super dark and will end up being black actually. And that goes all the way up. So this is all super dark through here. And while it isn't necessary to have a reference photo, it's helpful because it's not like I do cellos all that often. So while I could probably figure out what a cello looks like from imagination or from a mind, it's nice to just kind of look at the original piece of art and go from there, because then I don't have to think about like what a cello looks like. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, by the way. So like I could do, this is a New Year's resolution where I improve my artistic skill. Obviously I could do that on my own. I don't need people watching, but to me it's also like a double New Year's resolution where I involve others. So it's great that you guys are hanging out in here chatting with each other while I'm doing this, because that is like a double New Year's resolution. One is to like meet more people, talk to more people, interact with more people, and you guys being in here are the people, so I appreciate that. And this, so it kind of, right now it looks like the thing, just because it's a disembodied hand. It is actually her hand. I don't want to spoil the show by telling you that the hand is in it, that the thing is in it, but it's in the promo, like posters and stuff. So I don't feel like it's spoiling too much to say that the hand is in the show. The hand does not, or the thing, I guess I should call it. The thing does not play the cello. It's all her. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler. Although I don't see why the thing couldn't help. Why not? So the top part of it is actually highlight. So I'm going to start with this color and I'm going to try to add some white to it and see if that translates into making it lighter than this. Okay, that kind of does. Especially when I add in her sweater. Hopefully that'll really stand out. And kind of, yeah. No, I love the thing. It's amazing to me that they get so much performance out of what is essentially just a hand. Alright, so I said that this was all shadow, and it is, so I'm just going to kind of rub that in. I'm like blowing through these pencils. Keep having to sharpen every like 2 seconds. That's okay. Sacrifice for art, right? That's what they say. Get that some definition as well. Blend that in a little bit. I'm going to go up here real quick just because I feel like this would be good for up here as well. This right here. There's a lot going on in there. I'm just going to keep that in the shadow, but there is some shadow there. Yeah, I'm liking how this is turning out. This is pretty cool. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with it. There is more blue through this section here. Starts with this part. I don't know why I'm jumping around, but I see something and I just want to fix it. This has got some shadow too. And what's great about this is that these shadows actually help define the hands a little bit, which is great. Those are details that we can come back to later, or I can come back to later. Yeah, you would think that the thing would help her on this because that seems natural to me, but I don't recall seeing that in the show. So this side, I can probably throw in some white to add some texture to that. Anyway, I'm okay with this not being perfectly detailed on the bottom because it's not a focal point. Alright, so I think at this point, I really should add a lot to the sweater. Let's see, there is this part here that comes down, I guess right around here. That is part of the cello itself. So I kind of want to keep that separated from her sweater. And I think the way I'll do that is I'll just block it in with black, and then I'll come back and try to add some highlights, which may or may not work. Can't really see that on camera, but at least it separates it. And then this stuff through here is super black, so I really have to press down hard to get that color out of it. So again, this is her thumb. Comes across like that, and then it comes down. And then through here. Now, she's got a bit of a cuff on her shirt, or sweater, I guess, whatever you would call it. So I want to make sure that I leave that in as white. And then, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect through here. It's just solid black. I feel like I'm going to throw a lot of color down, or a lot of pigment. What would you call this? I'll just call it lead. So this is all straight black. On the other side, there's a bit of blue in it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And even though she has some detail in her sleeves, I'm just going to kind of, at this point, I'm just going to kind of like trail this off and just kind of abstract it, because it's not important to the overall composition of the work, because it's not a focal point, which is, of course, you know, her face and her hair and things like that. So I don't mind just kind of cross-hatching some of this stuff and leaving, you know, where it goes outside of it to the viewer's imagination. But this part here is part of the actual composition, so I want to make sure that this is solid and filled. And then the other thing is, like, when you're just, even though you're just kind of quickly filling this in, you kind of want your lines to kind of match the contours of like the sleeve and things like that, so that, you know, it kind of makes a little sense. So I don't mind trailing this off, but this part up here, I don't like this white space, so I'm going to come in, kind of cross hatch that to fill it in. Unfortunately, I have to sharpen my pencil every 5 seconds because I'm throwing down like a lot of color. And then I think, I don't know, I can probably try to blend. Yeah, see, that doesn't blend very well, but I'm okay with all that. Yeah. All right. So I'm okay with that side. That's the fact that it looks sketched at the edges. That's fine. Kind of clean that up a little bit. All right. So, but obviously this side over here needs to be done as well. Now that is a dark indigo blue. If I can find it. Yeah. Yeah. So. And then there is some definition to her sweater. It kind of starts here, kind of comes across. Anyway, this is all a dark blue. I'm not going to worry about the details of her her sweater. She does have like these kind of like, well, all right, I'm going to put those in. Just because I've changed my mind. Just to give it some, because this is closer to the focal point, I do care about things like, you know, there are these like little white line and knits that come through here, and I might as well just do those. They're kind of like this chain of stitching. I'm just going to kind of just put them in like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That looks like the original. And then I do care about getting this part right because it's part of her face. Okay, even though I can move on to the other part, I am going to come back with this black to kind of darken that up a little bit because it's super important. Because this is all drenched in shadow. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so she's got, I'm going to go with this blue. There are some highlights on this sweater, so I might as well put those in. I don't know what kind of sweater this is called, but you've got the neck piece here. So might as well draw that in, and then I'll go back to my indigo, which is really dark. And as you can see, this is, it's not necessary. I could just make it like almost a black turtleneck. But doing this gives it a little bit more realism. And it's cheap, you know, that was an easy thing to draw. And there's a lot of blue, not that blue. I'm going to lay down the black and then come back and put that blue in. Just to kind of finish this up. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah, 2 hours 20 minutes. I knew that this one would take a little bit longer because we're essentially painting here with colored pencils, but I did kind of want to keep it within reasonableness. I don't want people to have to watch 3 hours of video. But that's what it takes. That's what it takes. We want to get it right. Enough. Okay, so I'm going to come back with this indigo. I mean, to me, this kind of, I'll show the reference picture again here in a little bit, but to me, it kind of looks enough like it to where I'm happy with it. So you can't really see it very well on camera, but there is a difference in the pencils I'm using here. So like one's an indigo, it's like a really dark blue, kind of like a navy blue, and then the other one is like straight black, and then there's a lighter blue that I'm using as well. To remember that she has her braids coming down. So in the future, I think I'm going to look into other ways of blending rather than just laying down like lots of layers of color on top of each other. Although I'm really happy with how that turned out. I had no idea that this was going to turn out looking like the the hair. I think turned out really nice. And for somebody who is not experienced with colored pencils, I am happy with how these things actually work. I feel like there's a lot of possibilities of things that you can do with them. See, where's my black at? So at this point, I just kind of want to fill in some of these sketched in parts just because they are supposed to be solid black. There's no real science to it. But yeah, to step one, shapes, yeah. Step two, sketch. Step three, draw the rest of Wednesday Addams. Yeah, to your point earlier, Vivetta, I really think that the only reason this works is that you can like add layers upon layers here. Otherwise, I don't think this would have turned out right. I'm happy with that. So, set out to do a picture that has lots of color in it. I feel like there's a lot of color in this. It reasonably looks like Wednesday Addams. Again, I'll throw up the reference photo real quick. So I think it kind of reasonably looks like Wednesday Addams with a cello. So I'm happy enough to call this done enough for this exercise. I did want to again say I appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with me on Friday night. I know that you have a lot of options and things that you can be doing on Friday nights, so I'm glad that you spent time with me. I really do appreciate it. I'm comfortable talking to myself, but it's always nice when I have others that I can talk to. But yeah, so like I'd love to hear what you guys. I could probably throw some more definition in here. I'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comments, and all the typical stuff like and subscribe and push all the buttons and such. And again, I am committing to doing this every Friday night. I may do some more throughout the week, but guess I'll go ahead and sign this one and call it done. 2023, the year of progress. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Again, I appreciate you guys coming. Until next time, catch you later. Bye.